Okay, well, welcome to the Planning Commission's meeting for April 16th. All members are present with the exception of Commissioner Spaulding. This time, I'd like for everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Public comments. Pursuant to Council Administrative Policy, Meeting Rules and Procedures, Section 5.2, comments by members of the public are generally limited to 5 minutes or less time if a large number of speakers is anticipated, or if approved by the chair, speakers desiring answers to questions should direct them to the Planning Commission. And if relevant, they may direct them to the appropriate staff member. Speakers can also follow up directly with staff during regular city business hours. Please file a speaker's card with the administrative secretary on the form provided on the counter at the back of the chambers. During this portion of the meeting, those present in council chambers are permitted to speak on items that are listed under items not on the agenda during this portion of the meeting. Public comments for scheduled agenda items should wait until that time. Zoom participants during this general public comment period will not be accepted. Please note that the Commission's actions are final unless an appeal is filed with the City Clerk within 10 calendar days.
Through the chair, at this time, we have no public comment cards for this open session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. April. Our next item is the consent calendar. There's one set of minutes for the regular meeting for April 2nd, 2024. Is there any discussion or do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt item 1 on the consent calendar.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That was awesome.
Okay. We'll get right into it. We will move now to the amendments for the Brentwood Municipal Code to reflect changes in the fire agencies and clarify responsible parties relating to fire emergencies. A staff report will be given by Mr. Andrew Smith at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, my name is Andrew Smith, Senior Planner here in the Community Development Department, and have a fairly simple, I was going to call it an application, but it's not really an application. It's a city-initiated action before you tonight to amend the zoning ordinance portion of the municipal code. And the reason why we're here tonight for this is actually the result of decades of consolidations and mergers of the various fire districts that have provided fire protection in this area over the years. And most recently with the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District merging into CONFIRE, which is the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District in 2022. And what we have is a situation actually throughout the municipal code, not just the zoning ordinance, where there is some outdated language, both with regard to references to various fire districts. We actually, in the zoning ordinance, there's a reference still to the East Diablo Fire Protection District that has not existed since 1984. And there's also references to some outdated terms for various positions within the department. And so, or within the district, I should say. And so what we are recommending, and this is consistent with what's already been adopted in the building code and what will be brought forward to the city council for the remainder of the municipal code, is to change any references to the fire district, fire department, anything along those lines to essentially referencing the agency or the department, changing that to just current fire services provider. And then any references to specific officials of said district, such as fire chief, fire marshal, et cetera, just changing that to fire official. And again, that's consistent with building code. In terms of the process, here tonight for a recommendation from this commission to the city council for the portions of these amendments that are within Title 17, that is the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance is kind of special, not just because we get to work with it, but because state law actually requires any amendments to the zoning ordinance first requires a recommendation from the planning commission to the city council, whereas other chapters and titles within the municipal code do not require recommendation from any commission, actually. So we're looking for a recommendation tonight to the council, and then ultimately the council would be adopting these as part of a larger package covering the entire municipal code in the form of an ordinance. So our recommendation is that the commission adopt Resolution 24017, recommending the city council adopt the proposed zoning ordinance text amendment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. At this time, does the commissioners have any clarifying questions for our speaker?
Just one.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The intention is to essentially future-proof the existing municipal code. Is that my understanding?
Yes, very well put.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Floyd? Commissioner Johnson?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so I do want some clarification for the public's knowledge on the verbiage here. It appears that we are now just looking at the fire marshal and the fire chief as officials. And that being said, there is a protocol. There's still a chief. There's still a fire marshal, but the language is communicating something different. So if you could explain or just confirm that those individuals will remain in charge, and because when you hear fire official in their names, it's as if everyone is they're all fire officials, but where is the balance? Where is the protocol on who's chief, who's marshal? So if you wouldn't mind
Certainly.
explaining that.
Certainly. So our municipal code currently makes various references in some places to the fire chief, some places to a fire marshal, other places to fire official. And the fire protection district is not a part of the city. So what we are doing is making our proposing to make our municipal code essentially not specify who's in charge at the fire district, to leave that to the fire district. Those positions generally still exist, of course. There is a fire chief, there are various fire marshals. There's a very definitive hierarchy within the fire district that is established by the district itself. And so with these amendments, our municipal code, our zoning ordinance, rather than specifying to the district who they have to have provide comment or provide input to us, we're leaving the district to decide that based on their own internal hierarchy.
Okay, all right. Well, I thank you so much for that. At this time, I'm going to open it up for public comment.
Through the chair, I have no speaker cards in person. Those on Zoom, if you'd like to speak on this item, please raise your hand now. We have no hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Ms. April. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and close public comments. I'm looking for a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any more questions or comments on this subject matter? None? All right, then. Well, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-017 to recommend the city council adopt an ordinance approving zoning text amendment RZ 24-001 as further detailed in the staff report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? My motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Okay. At this time, we will discuss the conditional use permit and design review for Popeye's Restaurant with the drive-through. Mr. Contreras will present for us. Mr. Contreras, go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair Roberts. Evening, Commissioners. Evening to the public. It's Miguel Contreras, City of Brentwood Planning Division. I'm here to present Popeye's Restaurant, which is application conditional use permit 23-006 and design review 23-003. The location for the proposed Popeye's Restaurant is at 7820 Brentwood Boulevard. That's within the Brentwood Plaza where Dollar General is located. The center is within the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan, and it's further in the Commercial Office Industrial Residential Zoning District, or the COIR. The specific request is to construct a new 2,735 square foot restaurant and to operate said restaurant between 10 a.m. and 12 a.m. The restaurant would include a drive-through component, and the request also includes associated site improvements such as trash enclosures and parking areas in the rear. This portion of the parking areas behind Dollar General, that it has been used as a parking area throughout time. It has never been formally striped or anything like that. And that's also where Dollar General and the rest of the tenants keep their trash bins. And same thing, there's never been a formal trash enclosure, so the trash bins kind of just float around in the back. With this application, they would be restriping that and creating a formal trash enclosure for the trash bins, a centralized one. Access, the site would be accessed off of Brentwood Boulevard or Village Drive directly. Parking, the proposal would reconfigure the existing parking to accommodate the Popeye's restaurant. In total, the plaza would need 149 parking stalls, and the project would provide 158 parking stalls, which is a surplus of 9 parking stalls. The applicant has indicated that down the line, they do anticipate subdividing the Popeye site from the rest of the shopping center, and the project has been conditioned to enter into a shared parking and access agreement with the rest of the center. That way, there will be sufficient parking for Popeyes and the rest of the site. And part of this request is a trellis as well. A drive-through component, so a conditional use permit is required within the COIR zoning district. This is the current proposal highlighted in blue. It's a one-lane drive-through that splits at the menu board. The application would have, or the proposal would have 2 menu boards. The drive-through has a 21 vehicle capacity, and it would be screened by a CMU wall. The CMU wall has been conditioned to be at least 40 inches tall, and that would be similar to the other drive-through uses that are up north up the road. There will only be 1 drive-through window, and as mentioned before, 2 speaker boxes. Landscaping. The areas highlighted in green are the proposed landscaping, which includes 12 new trees. 9% of the project site would be landscaped, and the landscaping would include trees, shrubs, and ground cover. And the project has been conditioned as well to put climbing plants on the proposed trellis. That way there's a little bit more vegetation. Usable open space, that's highlighted in orange. One of the requirements of the COIR within the BBSP is that 10% of the land that's going to a new project has to be dedicated for usable open space. And the applicant's proposing this outdoor seating area, which includes the mentioned trellis. It features 5 benches, 3 tables, and the project has been conditioned that there's no exclusive use for employees or customers. It's open space to all residents of Brentwood, passers-by, and anybody waiting for the bus up the street a little bit. Architecture. So the building incorporates painted stucco, brick veneer, actually 2 styles of brick veneer, an ash and white and your traditional red brick. Simulated wood slats. It does feature a flat roof with a cornice and vertical and horizontal projections. So the building isn't really flat or boxy, it does have some articulation. All the mechanical equipment, all the rooftop mechanical equipment will be below the parapet, so it won't be seen from any vantage point. The project was routed out to the city's peer review, architectural peer review, Larry Cannon. And here's a quick summary of some of, or all of Mr. Cannon's recommendations. And this would include a trellis over the open space, a trellis over the drive-through window, a low wall around the drive-through area, and an increase in articulation to the building. The applicant incorporated all of Mr. Cannon's recommendations. And as mentioned in the staff report, in some instances went above and beyond what Mr. Cannon was recommending. And the particulars of the conditional use permit. So per the COIR zoning district, restaurants are permitted by right. However, they're required to have a conditional use permit if they operate between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. And the proposed use would go to midnight. Therefore, it's asking for the conditional use permit would only be for those 2 extra hours from 10 p.m. to midnight. The second facet of the conditional use permit is the drive-through feature. And the project's been conditioned to, basically the drive-through feature cannot interfere with the Brentwood Boulevard or the Village Drive traffic. And like other drive-through conditional use permits have come before you, the community development director can refer the project to this commission in case of complaints or any issues. Consistency, the project would be consistent with the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan. It is consistent with the COIR zoning district, and the project does qualify for a Class 32 categorical exemption under CEQA as a infill development project. And recommendations, so staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt as condition resolution number 24-0018 or 018, approving conditional use permit number 23-006, and also adopt resolution number 24-019, approving design review number 23-003. That would conclude staff's presentation. I'm here for questions, and I know that the applicant and the applicant's broker is in the public as well for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conchatis. At this time, does commissioners have any clarifying questions for staff? Commissioner Floyd?
Yeah. Sorry, Miguel, I didn't get an email out to you earlier, but you probably know what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask about the drive-through. I was out there today doing a site visit, and we exited the parking lot through that same exit that it looks like the drive-through is going to be using. If you want to put up a picture, it might help. And what we noticed is that coming kind of from the same direction, along the sidewalk there, and then trying to turn onto Village to get back out to Brentwood Boulevard, it's pretty much a U-turn. And it was really tight. Now, I don't have a big car, and my wife was driving. She had trouble actually keeping on her side of Village Lane to make that turn. So it wasn't so much of a problem, this afternoon. There was nobody on Village Lane or whatever the name of that street is. And, but I'm thinking if there's traffic coming the other way in from Brentwood Boulevard, wanting to turn left into that driveway, it seems like a real problem. And I think it might even be worse with the CMU wall and the landscaping there, that the car coming out of the drive-through lane wouldn't have a lot of visibility to cars coming in, and cars coming in wouldn't have a lot of visibility until everybody was kind of meeting there in that intersection. And it seems like it'd be really difficult to maneuver around there. Do you guys have any comment on that?
I would comment that one of the conditions of approval for the design review is that it would have to meet the general conditions of approval that were adopted in 2005, one of which is no portion of the project can impede the visibility triangle. So as proposed, yeah, more than likely the wall might be impeding it a little bit, but that's going to be caught at the time of building permit and like finalization of the project, and they would have to scale it back per the requirements of the general conditions of approval.
Could we not receive a design review that had the wall scaled back so that wouldn't be necessary later on?
We certainly can as well. It could be a conditional approval saying, hey, at the time of building submittal, and depict the visibility triangle being free of obstructions.
Sure, and that sort of answers the visibility, but about the difficulty of making that maneuver, trying to get out of there and flip your car around. And again, I have just a sedan. A lot of people in Brentwood drive, large pickup trucks, F-350s, F-250s. I just can't see a person being able to make that in a safe manner. Was there consideration given to that?
The project was referred and routed to the city's traffic engineer, and he had no comment regarding ingress, egress, and any issues to that effect.
I see. So there's no one here tonight from...
I believe the traffic engineer would be joining us via Zoom if I think he's available for questions, yes.
All right, that might be advisable. Thank you.
Commissioner Brand?
Yeah, I was curious about a circulation plan. I didn't see one specifically, but I may have missed it.
There wasn't a circulation plan like within the site. There was a traffic study done to ensure that there wouldn't be a need for a traffic signal at Village Drive and Brentwood Boulevard. And that I believe that the traffic engineer would be able to better answer that question.
Yeah, just in terms of the relationship between the larger property and then the specific, until I think you had commented that at some point there is a plan to sort of divorce the two properties.
Yeah, so that's
not the right word probably, but
that's mentioned in the staff report that down the line the applicant has indicated that they will be seeking to split the properties, parcelize the what's it called project site with the rest of the plaza, and that's kind of what that condition of approval will ensure is that a shared access agreement and a shared parking agreement is solidified so that, circulation or parking issues don't arise. They're going to be sharing the parking and the ingress, egress, and the driveways.
So could we get our traffic engineer to provide some context as far as the overall circulation plan as it relates to the larger property?
Mr. Kursavan, if you can go ahead and unmute.
I believe I have. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead and try that again. I want to make sure that background noise is taken care of.
Okay.
You're good to go. Thank
Can you
you.
hear me okay?
You're good, Mr. Kursavan.
Okay. I'm not sure the exact question. I know one of the questions is circulation, and Commissioner Floor had some concerns regarding basically how tight everything is. What we will do is we will require the designer to put turning templates on everything to guarantee that. And when we do that, we use trucks, big trucks, to make sure that there's adequate room. So we will have it designed so that that concern is addressed and it's shown to us on an exhibit. As far as circulation of the entire access points and the parking lot itself, the basic premise, which is very similar to what we've done right up the street at the corner of Sand Creek and Brentwood Boulevard, is to guarantee that whatever line of cars are awaiting to be serviced are completely placed within the parking lot. So we will work with them on a signing and striping plan to guarantee that everybody who's waiting is contained within the parking lot so that they do not overflow onto either Village or Brentwood Boulevard. That's very consistent with what we've done at every drive-through that's come our way in the last few years.
May I ask a question?
Commissioner Floyd?
I'm not really seeing that. I'm looking at the map, and I'm not really seeing how that will be done. And I'm also seeing that the drive-through lane is set to contain something like 21 cars. I mean, it's even widened out to 2 lanes. So that tells me that there's going to be a lot of cars coming in and out. It looks like they're going to be turning off Brentwood Boulevard onto Village Drive, and some of them are going to be turning left. So I'm wondering how we're going to get all those cars off Brentwood Boulevard to Village Drive and back onto Brentwood Boulevard, and how many cars do you think will be moving through that intersection where we don't seem to want a light?
Well, we had a traffic study done, and that's the first question I asked: does it need a traffic signal? And the answer came back no. We're talking about Popeyes. No disrespect to Popeyes, but this isn't Chick-fil-A, and this isn't Starbucks, and this isn't Dutch Brothers. We went through a similar process at Wendy's, where the developer gave us numbers of what kind of traffic volumes they can expect. I'm not expecting a huge amount of traffic volume here. We may see it initially just because of the newness of the product, but over time, this is a very large shopping center with a large parking lot, much bigger than what we have at Starbucks and Wendy's and Denny's and everybody else is in that parking lot. So we have a lot more room to work with, and then we can stack cars basically along the drive aisle that runs parallel to Brentwood Boulevard. And so this will come out when we get a final set, or when we have a set of plans, and I usually work with the developer to then at that point in time, like we did with Wendy's, give me a proposal and let's work on signing and striping so that we guarantee we align these vehicles in a fashion that doesn't affect public roadways.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
Excuse me. All right, well, I'll ask one for the traffic. Is when you're coming out of the drive-through, can you exit the property on Shirley Street? I guess it's Shirley. On the other side.
Not directly, but you could, as an example, if a driver basically didn't want to deal with the left turn off of Village onto Brentwood Boulevard, you can work your way through the backside of Taco Bell and KFC to Nancy Street, turn on to Nancy, and then use the traffic signal at Nancy to take a left, or even if you wanted to, a right. So there is access all the way out to Nancy Street.
I have another question, but it's not about traffic. Just out of curiosity, do we know the time that KFC and Taco Bell closes?
I believe Taco Bell might be 24 hours, or they close very late. And the reason for this is Taco Bell and KFC were grandfathered in before the BBSP came in, and they don't have those hour of operation restrictions like a new restaurant would. And I believe KFC closes somewhere around 10-ish.
Thank,
Go right ahead.
You commented, I don't know if I heard you correctly, but I just want to clarify. The perimeter wall that sort of insulates the drive-through, I heard you say 40 inches tall. In the staff report, it had been commented that the recommendation from staff was 48, so 4 feet tall. Is that, which number was it?
48, I might have mumbled
Okay.
when I gave my
So,
presentation.
and my understanding is that the applicant is amenable to a 48-inch wall versus their proposed 36?
Correct, yes. All the conditions of approval have been routed out to the applicant, and they've looked at them and agreed to it.
Okay, and that includes the feedback from the design consultant?
Yeah, the feedback from the design consultants actually incorporated into the plans that we're seeing now. The building was a little bit more naked, if you will, and a little bit more boxy prior to the architectural consultant's feedback.
Mm-hmm. And then the garbage facility area that's carved out there, you had commented that there is no existing garbage receptacles in that that shopping center. Would this be a shared facility for the remainder of the? Is this shared garbage receptacle or
No, so
just for the?
for Popeyes, they would have their own trash enclosure, which would be located on their site. And then the tenants for the remainder, they will be sharing the trash facility, which is it's a good thing because currently, as it stands, the trash bins just kind of float around in the back. You know, they're on wheels and they're just in the rear. But with this proposal, they're centralizing them and making it so it's orderly.
Okay, and then one other thing, the Brentwood, you commented on this too, the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan specifically calls out that new developments must have a 10% allocation to open space. In the staff report, I observed that the open space is essentially a 2,000 square foot concrete slab. Well, that's a bit diminishing in terms of what it is, but there's not many features beyond concrete. There's a trellis that was, I think, 136 square feet or something. Can you comment specifically on the definition of open space as it relates to the BBSP?
I wouldn't be able to verbatim, but basically a space that can be enjoyed by pedestrians, passersby. That's pretty much it. It doesn't say like grassy knoll open space or it says something nice that people can enjoy.
Yeah, just yeah. So it sounds like there's not really a specific or more sort of classic definitions that we've heard, at least before this commission. There's no direct correlation to a perceived accommodation, as you described, grassy knoll, trees, that sort of thing.
Correct, and this was one of the difficulties I had with not with the applicant, but communicating to the applicant what was expected. I was saying, hey, we need a usable open space, and there's nothing that I can grab and say a fountain with a, there's nothing like that. It's just usable open space that can be enjoyed. And then the unique thing with this project is that it's the first commercial project within the COIR that's coming in since the adoption of the BBSP, which was back in 2014. Since then, no other project has come in. So this kind of like the trailblazer in that regard. There's no other project I can look at and say, hey, mimic this. You could look at McDonald's, but that's within a different zoning district. You could look at Taco Bell or KFC, but that predates the BBSP. Everything's Cortino, that's outside of the BBSP, so it's pretty unique.
Understood. Sorry, one more.
Correct.
Are you, as part of the BVSP, there's a lot of wording in there regarding the revitalization of that corridor, right? Particularly the southern edge, kind of, my memory serves me, it's like, the southern edge, essentially, well, kind of this region of Village and Nancy Drive southward of the plan. I know that there have been a number of grants and things of that nature that have been honored. I wasn't sure if either the applicant or the owner had received any of those with specific intent to provide landscaping revitalization.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, not that I've had communication. Like I said, the owner's broker is here, and I don't know if she'd be able to provide an answer.
Okay, well, maybe we'll save that for the applicant. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, well, I'm stuck on the traffic analysis. It was stated in the packet that there was one done, but I don't have that for my own reading complement. And so that, I understand, Mr. Cursivan is here to address some of our questions, but not having the analysis as it is stated in this packet that one was done, that is troublesome for me. The other thing that I wanted to bring to staff's attention, you indicated that there's 21 cars, as it was described in your presentation, waiting to go through this drive-through, 21 or 20-something cars. It was mentioned by Mr. Cursivan that the parking lot is large. And I look at that parking lot in reference to the McDonald's parking lot. It's very similar in its appearance or its layout, and how this might be laid out. McDonald's doesn't have 21 cars waiting to go into its, waiting to go into the drive-through. But the lot is quite similar. And I would dare to say that certain days in the month, there is an overlap onto Brentwood Boulevard, or as that drive-through comes in, as you come into off of Sand Creek, there is an open that you can go left or right into the drive-through, left, of course, into the shopping area. But it hangs with quite a few cars. I see with 21 cars, substantially more going into that slot, that there's going to be some compromise when it comes to folks coming in off of Brentwood Boulevard. I'm just concerned that where are they going to be? How is that going to, or will that interfere with other, with the other parts of the shopping area? There's a dollar store. It's awfully busy over there. And a couple of other little, like there's a nail shop. There are a couple of things over there. So are we saying that the lion's share of the activities in that lot are going to be dedicated to Popeyes? Or, I mean, I'm just trying to configure this in my thinking.
Yeah.
How do we manage this? Where's the mitigation to this?
So the 21 car number, that's more of a model just to show how many cars the project can accommodate. You know, if at the very, very most, it's 21 cars. That's what it means. It doesn't really signify that there will be 21 cars at all times and there's going to be a line through the driveway for that. And I would actually defer the question to the applicant to get a real take as a restaurateur to see what's a typical queuing for a Popeyes. I believe that the applicant does own another Popeyes elsewhere, or a
Okay.
few more actually.
We certainly will do that.
And then to further answer your question, a similar question came up when we did the Dutch Bros on Lone Tree Way, and pretty much kind of how Mr. Kursaban was saying that through signage and striping, that's the mitigation for it. You know, you put signage that says, if you're lined up for Popeyes, this is where the line is. You know, don't go on some random driveway expecting to get into the queuing. You know, follow the driveway aisle or what have you, and that's something that Mr. Kursaban can probably speak to a little bit better than I can. And but that's pretty much the concept for that mitigation.
Why, okay, so I'll reserve my questions for the applicant, because I've had quite a few at this time. Are there any more questions for staff? All right, very good. Then I would like to open up for a public hearing.
Through the chair, would you like to ask the applicant if he wants to speak first? He has
Yes,
10
the
minutes.
applicant can come forward, yes.
Hi, my name is Sunny Guy. I'm the Popeyes franchisee I'm based out of Livermore, California.
Excuse me, sir, would you scoot more closer to the mic or move the mic closer to your
On the
mouth?
wrong sorry.
Thank you.
I'm Sunny Guy. I'm the Popeyes franchisee based out of Livermore that's building this. Good evening, Commissioner Roberts and all the commissioners for spending your time. And I must tell you, need to thank staff for the 15 to 18 months of cooperation that we have got to get this far. So a few quick things on the drive-through. I have 25 Popeyes and we open one every quarter. And none of them has a 21 car stack. So why did we do that one? Because there is an option to hold those cars there for that person at the drive-through who's in the car with 4 kids deciding whether they want dark chicken or white chicken, and then he can back up. So that stack is going to take care and not overflow anywhere else. We do never need 21. We are not Dutch Brothers. We are not Chick-fil-A. Example, Chick-fil-A in Hopyard in Pleasanton, they built another store down the road just for drivers for pickups. We are not those. We are Popeyes, Burger King, kind of in that range. But we had the option to create that stack so that there is never any problem. We could really redesign it and go back to like 10 cars or 12 cars. But this takes care of the fact that if a car gets stuck at the menu board, we still have space behind that'll take care of the ones that are already in line. And when you have a drive-through opening with a menu board, that is where the problem lies, because if that car stuck at the menu board, everything goes onto the main street. That is excluded by this design. Just as Miguel said the correct thing, it does not mean there will be 21 cars. Even if I take my average and the service time we have for a car, it can never be 21 cars. Otherwise, that store would be bigger in volume than Chick-fil-A. So it's just a backup created because there was the availability of the flow was there. And the other thing about the 2 menu boards is very important to note. The direction this world is going in a few years, there will be no menu boards. And the reason for that second is that is for that Uber Eats driver, the Grubhub driver, the DoorDash driver, the gentleman who's placed the order on the app, the little kids who are growing up now using apps, they don't need to go through that menu board. So there will be 2 menu boards, but typically one of them will be a fast lane. And if you've approved a Chipotle in the city or not, I don't know, but Chipotle doesn't even have menu boards anymore. They're called Chipotlane. You have to order. There's no cashier. Everything's ordered on your apps. You come in, you pick up your food and walk out. So this is in preparation for that, which is 3-4 years from now. You probably all know that inside as well now there are kiosks in restaurants. You do self-ordering and you learn. It's a learning curve. You learn and you come up with that. So once again, rest assured, there will be no 21 cars over there. The 21 is a provision because the site allowed. I don't think the city requires 21 stacking. We have never provided 21 car stacking ever to anybody. but the design allowed it, so we just put it there, so that if somebody gets stuck at the menu board, that's fine. Nothing will overflow onto the street or even to the rest of the parking lot. It will never happen. All I see is that the queue is going to start at the menu boards, and they move very fast, because that person who's ordered on the app is just flowing past the other line. He's not going to wait behind somebody who's thinking what kind of chicken they want. So we have gone through various iterations on this. Miguel will tell you. We've laid the building out the other way, which would have completely taken care of the concerns, but that does not give that corner the bounce, the charm that we need. The kind of landscaping we are putting in is going to really enhance that area. I've driven there, I've parked there multiple times, and I've met Miguel over there. Trash enclosure, the work on the trash enclosure in the back of the property, even though it had nothing to do with us, we had the property owner, the landlord. By the way, even after the parcel split, the landlord is the landlord. The split is for technical reasons. And we had them work with the city that they will fix that problem, even though my trash enclosure is on my parcel. And I did tell Miguel that if it ever comes to a situation where that one is overflowing, I will work with the landlord so that they can share mines and just pay their own share, fair share. The shops closest to me can come and use it. We just increase the number of pickups for the trash. Moving on to, I believe the downtown Brentwood Coalition had some concerns about, the BBSP and there being very few parcels available for this kind of thing. This is coming from 2014. This is the first project that come in. This is not an empty parcel. If we don't build, believe me, nobody's going to come and build something that is a non-drive-through out there when there are multiple choices in strip centers that they can go into and lease and not have to spend money. Because this thing is going to cost $3.5 to $4 million. Any other business that is a non-drive-through, spending that kind of money to be on that corner to fulfill what the BBSP has been thinking about is never going to happen. But we have got closest to that by putting the pedestrian access, the seating area. It's a little parklet that we've created. And I heard words like concrete. Believe me, it's going to be beautiful. It's not just concrete. And my cost on that, we've taken estimates, is pretty high, and we want to give it to the city, let people come in and sit there. I have done Taco Bells where people said, hey, we don't have places for our dogs. And I said, I have excess land, I'll put a dog park. If you look up the City of Winters Taco Bell, you'll see there's a dog park. And we've created that, we keep it clean, we service it. We want people to come in there. We are not saying that they have to be our customers. It's a draw, but this could be the beginning of where this thing starts, where it draws more people. So a few things, this is not a vacant parcel, it's an infill project located in an older shopping center. It'll enhance the shopping center. There's no landscaping, nothing out there now. It's a catalyst that draws in other businesses that may want to come across and around because there is traffic over there. It's 0.3 miles from the city. It's basically, we are putting in all the pedestrian amenities that are required. There's a plaza courtyard, as we call it. There's a trellis, benches for people to sit, leisure while they wait for buses. So all those things put together, this is a start for the BBSP and the new plan in something that's not a vacant parcel. If I go away, or if, let's say, assuming I don't get this, there's no way I think that somebody's going to ever come and fill that corner back to start somewhere. So I'm not taking away something that can be used in a much better way and putting a Popeyes on it. If there was a vacant parcel down the road in this zoning, this corridor that I was taking, yes, everybody would be concerned, hey, something else can be done here. But no, I don't see anybody coming in and putting up, a strip center of a different kind over here. And we've opened a few Popeyes recently, and you need to Google them and see them in cities. Briggsmore Avenue, Modesto, Mitchell Road cities. Those are open, very newly built. Those buildings are not what they were before. These are tall, full glass buildings, full visibility inside. And we expect about 50 jobs. And once again, confirming what our traffic engineer for the city said, we are not Chick-fil-A, we are not Dutch Brothers. I see a mention of something that, hey, we don't have to give repetitive choices. Well, somebody likes Starbucks, somebody likes Dutch Brothers. Somebody likes KFC, somebody likes Popeyes. It's a taste difference. We should give it to whoever it is. Small statistic for the city. I own the one in Antioch, Lone Tree, which is an end cap in a strip center. If he opens up delivery to include Brentwood, any day he does that, we get killed. Your city goes nuts asking Popeyes to be bought from Antioch. We can't handle it, we shut it down. We have a provision where we can use the radius that we want drivers to go out, the Uber Eats drivers, the Grubhub drivers. And
Through the chair, the speaker's time has expired, so if you'd like to give him more time, we need to grant that.
Yeah, go ahead and continue your narrative.
thank you very much. Whenever we've opened up, people just go crazy in Brentwood that they want their chicken from there. And that store cannot take it anymore. Because it's, as you may remember, Lone Tree is an end cap on a strip center. So it doesn't have the capacity, very small store. And that has made us think about building one over here. If I had the capacity to do sales down the road, I would do it. But a live example in front of you is that Chick-fil-A on Johnson Drive in Pleasanton could not handle the capacity, could not handle the traffic, and then worked with the city, and they put a non-drive-through store a quarter mile away on Hop Yard and said, this is for people to dine and for delivery to go, pick up, no drive-through, because we want this. This is exactly what is happening over here, is that people come from here to buy over there or go to Oakley, and we want to keep the business within the city. You don't want your sales tax to go to Antioch, believe me, and that's a lot of sales tax. That's what we think. We've done this all over, and please don't set your mind that there will be 21 cars. There will be no 21 cars. And we have peak periods as well. We don't have breakfast. So most of the time, McDonald's, if you go in, breakfast is crazy. We don't even have breakfast. Our day parts are totally different from what Taco Bell may be or rush hours may be. They're all kind of different. We don't have kids walking in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, coming out of school, jamming the drive-thrus when every mother has to buy. Very few people will feed their kids, picking them up from school, feed them chicken. Chicken is dinner business, family business. It's very easy for me to go inside a strip center without a drive-thru, and I tell you, I'll do about 60% of the business through all these aggregators. But what about the families who want to come and sit out and eat? That's what it is. It's a very family place, a Popeye's chicken, not compared to Burger King or the other places. We've seen large families come and sit, buy large orders, and enjoy it. That can't afford to go to that $50 a head restaurant down the road. They get the same service, enjoy the same thing, the hot food, the fresh food. So these are choices that the city people want. We know that from statistics that when we open up delivery, our store in Antioch cannot handle the traffic. There's so many orders from this city.
Okay. All right.
The coalition can rest assured we are not taking any free open land to do this.
I understand. Well, I've got quite a few questions, and the commissioners do as well. Your time expired, but we're going to continue the conversation.
Thank you.
One question that I have is your delivery, or when are your deliveries scheduled to come in to this store?
All at night. They're at dark.
When you say at night, what are we talking? After midnight?
After closing, they have the key, and there's a lockbox, and they have the alarm codes. we don't want them to step in while we are working. So it's during those times, they would park in the shopping center, which is practically going to be empty at that
And
time.
how often?
Twice a week? Twice a week.
Okay, let me be clear about something, commissioners. I was a McDonald's owner-operator, $2.1 million store. We had a 3-day part. As it relates to not having a lot of business, stores do not set themselves in places to not make money. It's a penny profit business, but nonetheless, they have to at least break even. So as it relates to them not being Chick-fil-A and these other places that have been cited, they're in business to make money. And the way that they're going to make money is through volume. Volume is what is going to make a difference here. They have a 2-day part, which is afternoon and evening shifts. But trust me, there will be traffic coming through that drive-through. Without traffic, there's no sense in even setting up Home and Gardens on that corner. That being said, my concern remains with the traffic. That we don't have an analysis to view for ourselves is, as I said earlier, troublesome. I'm even more concerned that this will be our 12th fast food restaurant on Brentwood Boulevard. 12 fast food restaurants. No disrespect to Popeyes. I'm just trying to figure out, and it's too bad that the Economic Development Director is not here, exactly what the vision is for Brentwood Boulevard. I've spoken with some of the residents, and I'm sure that there are folks that are going to enjoy Popeyes if this goes through, or when this goes through. But it does not answer why we're not having a more mixture of restaurants in this community. It is a concern that I have, but this is not for this gentleman. This is for the Economic Development Director and the vision that is being put forth for Brentwood Boulevard. Another concern that I have, and perhaps you can help me with this, is you indicated that you had 2 reader boards, and there's one reader board or one lane that is going to allow folks to, while they're making the decision on whether they're going to, whatever their decision is, they will not be holding up the other lane. But how did you come to 21? How did you come to that extended drive-through? Why not shorten it, is my question. How did we get there? You say this is the first time you've done this. This is not something that you've done with your other restaurants. So how did you come to this long drive-through as opposed to shortening it and maybe allowing some space to exist on the lot for something else?
So believe me, our original iteration, when we had the building laid out separately, did not have this long drive-through. When we turned the building around to the way that it would look best for the corner, we end up with this drive-through, and we can, it's basically a lane that leads to the drive-through because of the way the building is laid out. If I lay out the building parallel to Brentwood Boulevard, that goes away, but that is not what the city wants. The 21 has just happened naturally. Most cities want that, so we thought that would not be an issue. But if we put something else over there, we can try moving it around. I can tell you the configuration will not be very good. Again, if the city's fear is that there will be 21 cars and I cut it down by 7 or 10 or 8, then you're in a worse off situation because now you have cars overflowing into the parking lot. So this is really an excess backup surplus that will basically remove any anxious moments that there can be a backup. If I remove that, if we go down to 12, then you and me accept the fact that there will be only 12 cars in the drive-through. And because there are 21, we are presuming there will be 21. That does not answer anybody's question that just because we increase the drive-through lane for 8 people, 8 more cars will show up. No, that's never going to happen. It's literally a lane that leads to the menu board, and we have to keep that access free, because if we do anything over there, then the cars cannot get to the menu board.
Okay.
We could hazard stripe it and say no cars can stop here. But going down doesn't help in any way. Most cities like more cars so that it never backs up into parking lots or Brentwood Boulevard for McDonald's.
Okay.
Us presuming that because we have 21 will be 21, and you ask the question, why don't we reduce it? If I go down to 12, then we presume there are 12 cars. So why don't we presume now there will be 12 cars?
Well, we don't know because it's an unknown, but I appreciate your response to that. I'm going to turn it over to the other commissioners. Commissioner Floyd, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Brandt?
Can you explain your typical cycle time for a typical guest in the drive-through?
So with the newer AI intelligence that's coming in and everything which we are experimenting at our stores, we're going down to 2.5 minutes or less now. If it's an order placed on an app that is paid for, minute and 30 seconds, they are out of there. Because,
Sorry, I appreciate that. I want to keep the discussion going.
we are not Chick-fil-A. Technology has it. Don't mean to override you. Technology, it's called geofencing. If you place that order on that app, my machine is going to print out the order sufficiently in time for it to be made when you enter that geofence, let's say half a mile, and the geofence is not fixed. It goes by Google's traffic patterns. So it tells us the food's ready, and this guy doesn't have to pay or anything. He just shows his phone, collects his bag, and walks off. So the expert is right behind me, though.
I guess I'm more curious about a guest who's ordering on site, going through the slow, let's call it the slow lane.
3 minutes, 180 from the menu board, mind you, not from where they are parked behind. Once they're at the menu board and the order is placed in 3 minutes, they should be out of the drive-through.
Yeah, I hear that. I've frequented the Antioch location several times, and I've sat in that line for 40 minutes before, and I'm having a hard time reconciling that cycle time versus, I mean, my experience is obviously very anecdotal, but that line is much smaller. And to your point, also, to have an additional queue to suffice a bit more absorption of a peak of customers. I mean, I understand. I have a hard time believing
I
that.
can totally answer that question. This young kid asked me the other day, my nephew, how can we put a larger freezer cooler in there? I can't handle the traffic. That was never meant. That store is an end cap drive-through in a strip center. And we bought it very recently, by the way, and improved it a lot. It was never built for the capacity. What we are building here is built for the capacity, and we are changing our kitchens to very, very fast flow. We're spending $150,000 changing our store's kitchens now, overnight. We've done it, 2 we've done, and we're going to change all of them to equipment that allows that. Whereas that store is not built to capacity, and that is why he has to shut down customers from Brentwood from coming there. It can't handle it. But I can tell you that I don't know when was the last you went there, but we've improved operations since we bought that store. And that's how this whole thing started, is that, hey, we need a new store to take this pressure off, because people are going to drive off if they have to sit for 40 minutes. But again, we are not Chick-fil-A. We don't even, different client base over here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the context. I did commented to Mr. Contreras regarding any revitalization grants associated with the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan. Are you familiar? Have you or has the landowner received any grants of that nature to your best knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, neither the landlord, of course, for me, we have not applied, we are not even aware of it. If the landlord is aware, he has not taken any.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Good evening. Just got a couple questions, a few. So the landscaping, that open space, you had mentioned, I guess we heard it was concrete. Do you have landscaping around in that? Are you gonna have trees? Give me a better description of that open space.
So
Because-
there's going to be landscaping inside that, but then there's going to be seating. So those areas, there's some concrete poured over there, but I don't know the exact landscaping plan unless you want to put it back up, Miguel. And that should tell you, and that has been done in working with the city to come up with the best solution where the use can be greenery, landscaping, and for people to be able to use the space as well.
So would you be willing to improve like the look and feel of that area so that it isn't just a concrete? Or is that, I'm just asking, I'm not.
Absolutely, and I can tell you that it's not just concrete, it's a lot of things, small things that are being put together for it.
Okay. Next question, this is just from my understanding. You mentioned, I'm looking at the diagram right now. Maybe you can, yeah, that diagram. So my understanding is saying the reason we have this long, that there's not, you should put 21 cars on there or the amount of cars on there just to show that it could fit 21 cars. But you said that if somebody stops, I guess on the inside, not teller window, but what do you call it again? Speaker box, excuse me. On the inside speaker box, you were saying they could go around. Is that what you're saying? Or you're just giving them room on there to queue up if somebody's stuck in that speaker box? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's both. If there's a car that's digitally ordered their order and they come up behind a car and get stuck, they go through the other lane.
But they can't because it's only one car length wide. So.
Right, but if the last 5-6 cars that you see, that's for our mental satisfaction that if it gets stuck, they will not flow out into the
outside.
street. I could turn this drive-through round and cut that whole thing out and take the parking back. What would that do if there was ever a backup? The people parked would not be able to get out because the drive-through lane flows through that parking lot. It's very easy for me to push that parking row by the Popeyes back, kill those 6 cars. Now everything goes through the center drive aisle. And if there's ever a backup, those cars parked will not be able to get in and out.
Okay. Just another question. So you mentioned a couple times about Antioch and when Antioch gets busy from Brentwood traffic, it comes over. So your anticipation is that by having a Brentwood store, you're going to leave traffic in Antioch, leave some traffic in Antioch because we have a Brentwood store. Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely. From the numbers that we are seeing at the Brentwood, at the Antioch store, it's a pressure cooker that needs some release to go to the right city where the customers are coming from.
All right, I'm not really interested in, not to be rude, or I'm not really talking about Antioch, but I just want to understand, what's the size difference between the Brentwood store and the Antioch store?
The Brentwood store, about 2.25 times
Bigger.
that store.
And then, Commissioner Brand asked a question about the timing. Now, I've gone to your Antioch store, and a lot of times they'll make you come through the line and sit in the parking lot. Just recently, as I think not too long ago, you go through the line, the drive-through, and then you sit in the parking lot and wait. for maybe it's because they don't have the capacity, like you said, or so you don't anticipate. So tell me, is that going to happen here?
So the biggest thing that we just went through that is going to change a lot of things is we, the people who were always short staff, now have thousands of applicants because we are the highest hourly wage payer in the country at $20 an hour, the fast food. So we
Wait,
have
you're saying
thousands
that
of applicants now.
The reason that's happening is because you don't have enough employees, or?
It's few employees in a tight space that is causing it. And that will definitely make that store better.
Okay.
Was that time, but now the employees that we need, we are getting them. People are leaving other businesses and coming to us for $20 because we are the highest paying business around here. And we feel that it'll help us. We will definitely get more quality employees. We still want to keep the mix coming, the kids on weekends or evenings when they can, because they do help us in the front of the house.
Okay.
Your question about being made in the parking lot, a couple of years from now, you will not be doing that because you will get used to that app on your phone and you will say, I am not going to
Maybe
go
I'm
there
too
to
old
order.
for the app on the phone. I don't know. But I got one more question on this, just to go back to the first question. In that 10% area outdoors, you're amenable to making sure it's not a concrete, just a concrete table and concrete benches.
Just as we had on the call the traffic gentleman, when the plans are there, the exact details will be discussed and a full-fledged landscaping plan. This is just a very preliminary plan that we do for design review that will go into the full details and we will give the city what they want. There's no concern about that.
Okay, no more questions.
Real quick, and I'm glad you asked that question, Commissioner Johnson, giving the city what it wants is your response. And so this concrete business seems to be very sterile and so hopefully they'll figure something out. But let me say and put it in the record that if you're going to put any kind of outdoor anything at your restaurant, I would ask that you consider putting umbrellas because to sit in the sun probably would not be the greatest benefit for anyone to sit and eat in heat. Just something as you guys are working through this process, that be a consideration.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Commissioner Brand?
I have no more questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Floyd?
No, I'm ready to hear from the public.
Okay, very good, sir. If you might take your seat, and we certainly will come back to you as needed.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up public comments.
Through the chair, I have one card for the people that are present here in chambers. Amy Tilley.
Hello, good evening. Thank you guys for having us here tonight. Hello, Chairperson Roberts, Commissioners, City staff. My name's Amy Tilley, and I'm the Executive Director for Downtown Brentwood Coalition. And I'm here tonight with just a few things we wanted to take this opportunity to share with the Planning Commission. I want to also start off by saying to the applicant, Mr. Guy, our organization is very pro-business, and we thank you. We appreciate a business wanting to do business here in Brentwood. So just first, I want to say that any business that wants to come here to Brentwood and says this is a good place to do business, you're absolutely right. It is. This is a great place to have a business. So and as far as this location being within this downtown corridor, there is a relationship that we've got with this area, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight and just share some of our observations about that. So just wanted to mention that there was one part that I did disagree with, and that is that, yes, this area, it is not a vacant space. It's not a vacant space. However, I don't agree that the area doesn't have the potential for being revitalized completely and in a transformational way. If I believed that, I wouldn't keep doing my job right now. So I've seen transformation and revitalization in a downtown that, wasn't very vibrant and did have a lot of vacancies. So we've seen it happen, and we're seeing people want to bring investment into this area. So I don't necessarily agree, that this area in general, maybe isn't worthy of reinvestment or isn't worthy of other future projects. I think that it very much is, and I think that with this project, we totally understand it is consistent with the zoning, is consistent with the use. There's nothing wrong. This is all like what we feel is a slightly alarming number of fast food restaurants in this corridor. And it kind of just made us go, okay, all right, it's time to really maybe step back and just think about this bird's eye view. And I know economic development, city staff 100% thinks about that, and that is important to them. And with my own position, supporting businesses in that area, that is part of our mission. And we have affiliate members, and we've got grocery outlets and Dutch Bros. So it's not to say that we don't have members that we value tremendously, just because they're not necessarily the mom and pop of, say one of the mom and pops in downtown. So we look forward to supporting any business that comes into this area. We just feel that it's important for this commission to just consider that it is a valuable area. And when you're looking at this application or any that are similar in the future, please consider that we have faith. We believe that this area is worthy of being transformed and being the best that it can be for the residents in that area, and just being complementing coming into this, wonderful historic downtown that we have. What is it that you see and experience when you come into Brentwood from that direction? And we think that's really important. So we know, can we do more as the Downtown Brentwood Coalition to support revitalization of this area? Absolutely. It's important to us, and we're committed to that in our strategic planning. Like, that's something that's very critical to us. Is yes, we've done a lot in the downtown core, but we're not done. We want to continue supporting. I know the Chamber of Commerce does as well, continue to support economic development and revitalization. So, as I said, we've had a good uptick in investment in downtown and the surrounding areas. I personally get a lot of calls from people looking to invest. So they're seeing that this is a great place to do business. And, we know that we've got residents who are excited. Will our residents love Popeyes? Yeah, probably. You bet they will. And I think that there's absolutely a place for that, here in Brentwood, and we welcome that. We'd just like this commission to really think about the potential, the future investment that can happen in that area, and just how does it really kind of impact this from a big picture. So thank you guys for having me tonight.
Thank you.
At this time, I have no other speaker cards in person. We'll go to Zoom. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak on this item. I have no hands raised.
Okay, at this time, I will go ahead and close public hearing. Look for a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, so let's open it up a little bit for more discussion on this topic. I'll start with Commissioner Floyd.
Thank you, Chair Roberts. I have a lot of skepticism, and I really appreciate the effort the applicant is making to make this Popeyes be, something kind of special, and conform it to the COIR. Having said that, for instance, looking at the open space, it looks like a nice open space. You looked at it top down, and it's a nice open space. But I was at that site today. And if you sit down in that open space with your kids, you're going to be looking across the parking lot at a massage place. It has big yellow letters that just says massage. And I don't know that that's family friendly. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad place or anything. It's just an interesting observation. And then if you look to the right of the massage place, there's a laundromat, and it was built at a time when we didn't have codes for, parapets. So what you've got is like this whole forest. It's kind of comical almost of dryer vents, like these big pipes, coming up and with a little bend at the top. And there's, gosh, there must be 20 or 30 of them over there. And this Popeyes is beautiful, but if you step on the other side of the line where the work ends, then you're out in that kind of dingy old parking lot that's been there forever. And there's like some dead trees along Brentwood Boulevard. And I'm struggling to see how, I get the intent, I really do, and I really admire it, but I struggle to see how putting a Popeyes on a corner with just its own little open space really fills the promise that we've been seeing in the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan. I've attended either in person or, online, at least 2 presentations, like including a public town hall asking people what they want, where the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan envisions, walkable housing and walkable shopping and shopping stores with sidewalks between them. If you've been to Walnut Creek, to the shopping mall over there by Broadway, you're walking on a pedestrian street between the stores. You're not, and I think that was really the intent of the open space, is not to have a little store over here with 10% open space and a little store over there with 10% open space. I think the design of the COIR is really more about the design of entire areas. Now, if there was a way, that this Popeyes could be folded into, as Amy mentioned, a revitalization plan for the whole shopping center, it would make a lot more sense to me. I would like to see not this one nice place in this less nice place. I would like to see this one nice place in a nice place. I'd like to see the whole block, but I don't see how putting a Popeyes is going to make that happen. I'm not sure how it's going to inspire the kind of development that we're looking for over here. And there are, quite a few fast food joints over there. And my concern is Brentwood Boulevard, we have a very good design, a good vision for what Brentwood Boulevard could be. But what we're doing, if you drive past this site, I believe it's north from there, looking at the map, yeah, you go right past, another couple of fast food restaurants. There's I think, is it Taco Bell and Kentucky Fried Chicken, and there's something else along the way. And then you go up another couple blocks and there's that little place that just put in that has, a Chipotle, a Starbucks, a Denny's, a Panda Express, and a Wendy's all on that one lot. I mean, this is supposed to be the gateway to Brentwood, and I don't see us making a gateway that Brentwood is really envisioning as making us. We always strive to be the jewel of East County, and this is just turning into another Lone Tree. I don't know. I don't feel how this plan, as beautiful as it is on its own, it's like setting a diamond on a paper ring, instead of a gold ring. I just have trouble seeing it, and I also have trouble, obviously, with the drive-through, especially the exit and entrance right there. And I don't know. Supposedly there's going to be a plan that's going to fix that somehow, but again, I was there today, and I made that turn, and it's just impossible to turn back out onto Village Drive without crossing over the middle of Village Drive. And anytime there's any kind of traffic, it's going to be a hazard. I just, with all respect to the traffic engineer, I just don't see how it can be done. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Brand.
Well, this commission has heard several drive-throughs, at least in the last several years, and most recently the Wendy's on Sand Creek, and which is ironically just up the road. I counted them. There's within less than half of a mile between Village and Sand Creek, there's 8 drive-throughs within 1/2 mile in just this small corridor. Popeyes would make 9. And I don't, part of this discussion is that we have a CUP to address drive-through related. So it's essentially, Scortino Ranch, we all remember that one was by right and the remainder were conditional use permits. And in this case, this is also a conditional use permit.
Yep.
I see the concentration of drive-throughs here being in direct incongruence with the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan. And I want to read just a tidbit here from the vision in the plan, and it says, transform the historically auto-oriented strip commercial land use patterns by prohibiting that type of development in the future and requiring a vibrant mix of workplace and residential land uses easily accessible by pedestrians, bicyclists, and transit riders, as well as motor vehicle drivers. Now, I might be paraphrasing here, but my understanding of the BBSP is that the idea was to transform the Brentwood Boulevard corridor from a previously highway-oriented transport and businesses to support that into a much more locally centered, a boulevard that brings a variety of issues, a variety of businesses, as I just described, as a result of the Highway 4 bypass that we so wonderfully received years ago. I see this region going sort of in the wrong direction, and this would be another step in that perceived wrong direction from my own observation of the variables here. I think it's a lovely building. To comment on what Commissioner Flora described, the transition between the full revitalization of that corner of the property versus looking at the remainder, the delta in revitalization is huge. All these other properties have been grandfathered in. And so to not see some type, we do things like density transition in other areas, and as far as the building code and the municipal code, I know that's not specifically written, but to me, at least, it makes sense as far as a way of showing that revitalization extends beyond that of which just the newly placed property or the newly placed business. I do think it's a beautiful property. I'm not super wild about having the center, this open space being exclusively concrete. I mean, the trellis is lovely. I love the trellis over the drive-through, frankly. I think that's absolutely beautiful with the vines and such proposed to go over it. I just, the site characteristics also comment on it as far as that. It specifically references the large vacant parcels, which are effectively across the street, south of the Jack in the Box and north of the auto repair shop there on the corner, in which they've historically been located to serve, as a through traffic and provide higher visibility afforded by the roadway. And businesses that I think would serve as Ms. Tilley had commented earlier, that expressive variety of uses and such. You know, similar to the downtown district, we have a fantastic downtown, and I think that's very, how do I say that, representative of the wants and needs of Brentwood residents, by and large. I won't go on longer, but one last thing is, over and over again, our residents comment on the concentration of chains and these types of drive-through restaurants, maybe not mutually exclusive, but you know, we do hear your comments if you're listening that, you know, yeah, we are seeing that concentration. And it's important to call out the fact that, you know, the concentration seems to fall within a very small district, well, within District 2, the southeast corner of District 2, and that, you know, we would love to see more of these types of establishments. It's like my big dilemma is that that location in general. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
So I guess I'm a little conflicted. First of all, I just want to commend the owner. I believe that building is beautiful, and it's a beautiful representation. I do think it would upgrade the lot from its current standing. I don't want to say that, hey, you know, we can't do anything until we get the whole lot fixed. So that concept, we have to start somewhere, because it's broken out into parcels and, you know, leaseholds. I don't know that we can mandate or try to get the whole lot to be fixed at one time as part of some project. And while I do agree that there are a lot of fast food restaurants on Brentwood Boulevard, I'm just concerned that if we decide, oh, we don't want to have another fast food restaurant because we're waiting for, I don't know, something to come along that's gonna, you know, make everybody happy, which is Joe Blow's Italian food or something to that effect, that would kind of mimic downtown. I don't know when that's coming. I don't know if it's coming. I don't know how to do that. One thing I do want to know is, you know, if it's zoned right now and the Popeyes fits that zoning right now, is it looking at the zoning that's there, you know, rather than saying, hey, you know, maybe we need to look at the zoning. If you're saying to me that, hey, we want to have a more eclectic, a more, you know, I don't want to use mom and pop, but a more eclectic, you know, use of restaurants and that type of thing, then we should have it zoned that way, or look at having it zoned that way on that boulevard. I just have a problem, and I'm probably listening to the comments. I'm probably the only one. I just don't know if we say, hey, we don't want to put something like that there. When is the next? Are we going to wait 3 years, 4 years to get something else? Somebody else who wants to come in and do something that we, quote unquote, would like. And while some people may not totally agree with that, I think it's a beautiful restaurant and it would improve that area, which is, I mean, like you said, I don't want to be looking at a massage. You know, we need to do something to uplift that area. You know, I understand we have a lot of fast food restaurants, but this would definitely uplift that lot. So, and while I do understand about the turning, the drive-through, what I would say is if the drive-through is 20 feet wide, so what it looks like from the map, and if the city driving traffic control manager said, hey, they'd make sure you could come out, I could trust them to make sure that you could come out. I might be the lone wolf in this thing, but that would really put a change in the way Brentwood Boulevard looks in that area. And so for me, I'm all about trying to improve the area. I don't know when we would get something to replace that Popeyes. And if we did get something, would it look as nice? I don't know because I can't predict the future. So that's my comments on what I see about the property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, let's be clear about a few things. One of the things that's happening in the city of Brentwood is a lot of development is coming into the city of Brentwood. Quite a bit of it. I think we were just speaking about some development over by the Christian school, elementary school, and that there's 100 homes going into that space. There's a lot of development coming into the city of Brentwood. That being said, when you've got a lot of development coming into any municipality, businesses will follow because there's money to be made. So as it relates to what was said earlier by one of our speakers, revitalization is important. It doesn't always have to be all fast food. And right now, that's what it looks like on Brentwood Boulevard. I would not be concerned about when, in fact, that lot would be available for some other use. Land right now is at its highest performance. Folks are looking high and low to build where they can and make it make sense. And it doesn't have to be a restaurant. It could be an office building. It could be a number of things. I had a question for the owner, but the owner's not here, and trying to figure out why or if this was shopped in other parts of the city of Brentwood. That can't be answered this evening. I will remind the commissioners that there's a conditional use permit on this, in this packet. And that is probably where our stronghold is as it relates to this application. I too agree that the building is attractive, and it is, it's a nice looking building. It will be, I counted 11. Someone said 8, that there are 11 fast food restaurants from the area of Sand Creek all the way down by the high school. It is just something to consider if that's the description or if that's what we're doing for the Brentwood Boulevard in making that boulevard fast food, then so be it. I will say this, that I have spoken with some of the residents in that community on the backside of Susan. And they are of the belief that the city of Brentwood is dedicating fast food restaurants as if they are not privy to some other type of restaurant in their community. Some of them are offended by the number of fast food restaurants within their community. And I'm going to say that, let it be a part of the record, because that was a conversation that I've had with 3 people in these last 2 days over in that area. They're not pleased at all. They don't represent all of the folks in that community, but the 3 that I spoke to were highly offended. And it's not that they were offended about Popeyes, they're just offended about the fact that we can't find something else to put in their community. Coming back to the conditional use permit, there is a conditional use permit that I'm going to segue in that requires a special consideration by this commission. And part of that CUP is the operation times of operation. And this drive-through, this 21 vehicle stacking capacity, all that's part of the conditional use permit. This body can, in fact, start to have a conversation about that CUP and whether or not we will move forward as is in favor of the CUP, or if there's some things that we need to address in the CUP. So with that said, I'm going to open it back up to the commission and see if there's anything more that we need to discuss related to the CUP. Yes.
Through the chair, can I just chime in real quick on a couple things?
Yeah.
One is, I understand the applicant would like to address a couple of additional details about the project. It's certainly up to the commission. You did close the public hearing, so if you were amenable to that, you'd have to reopen it and allow him a couple of minutes to do that, so it's totally up to the commission. The other thing is that I wanted to make sure that the term fast food restaurant has been used a lot tonight, and I just want to make sure the commission and the public's aware that that's not a distinction that's made in the specific plan. So it's simply restaurants are permitted uses. Any kind of drive-through component to a use is conditionally permitted. So, and I know fast food generally means there's a drive-through associated with it, but it's not always the case. So I would just recommend that the commission refer to it as a restaurant. There's the design review component.
The drive-through.
Then the drive-through is the conditionally permitted component, as well as the hours. So thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Brand.
Sorry, I did want to clarify. Sam, based on what Mr. Contreras said at the beginning, I believe that restaurants in general in this corridor are by right. Is that correct?
Correct.
So to Commissioner Johnson, it's the big distinction. I don't want to talk down. It's just a restaurant would be by right effectively, and the cup is only due to the fact that it has the drive-through component. So just to discuss.
I understand that part, but there seems to be a want to that drive-throughs and, fast food restaurants for that, brings down that area. And I'm saying, well, if that's what we believe, which I don't have, when you said what you just said, I totally get that for that area. We need to do something with the zoning so that it would be that you couldn't put a fast food restaurant there. It would have to be a sit-down restaurant with no drive-through capabilities, or, like you said, an office building or that type of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, quick rebuttal. That's why this commission exists, is to provide a level of discernment which says yes or no, to provide that level of
Right.
context for we're all four of us are residents,
Right.
So that makes sense to me at least.
Commissioner Floyd?
Yeah, I'll just chime in on that discussion a little bit. The passage that Commissioner Brand read from the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan kind of does put the kibosh on this kind of thing. This fits the description very well of the very thing that passage recommends that we not do here. So there, and again, this is a place where some judgment has to be exercised, because sure, it says a restaurant by right, but it doesn't say, a drive-through, and it doesn't say by itself on a corner, and it doesn't say car dependent. We're supposed to have, like these pedestrian areas and workplaces, living spaces, all, walkable. And this is not accomplishing that goal. It just doesn't fit that description that was read out. And so I think that, sure, we can say, well, it's a restaurant, and it says it says you can have a restaurant, but it says more than that. And I think we have to take the whole document into account.
Just out of curiosity, would you reread that thing the statement that you read earlier?
Absolutely. So that's within the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan, chapter 2, the vision. Under goal number 4, it describes transform the historical auto-oriented strip commercial land use patterns by prohibiting that type of development in the future, and by requiring a vibrant mix of workplace and residential land uses easily accessible by pedestrians, bicyclists and transit riders, as well as motor vehicle drivers.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see the
Bicycles.
I'm struggling. It's okay, but it's okay. It's okay. Let's move on. Let the chair have her.
Well, okay, at this point, I will go ahead and ask the applicant if he'd like to come back up, if that's okay with the commission. Is the commission all right with that? Okay, very good, sir, please. And let me just preface this, sir.
Before,
Your application is not something that we are speaking ill of, for lack of a better word. We are concerned about, as you indicated, another restaurant with a drive-through in a corridor that already has quite a few. It has nothing to do with Popeyes and you, the applicant. And that is the discussion we're having here as it relates to revitalizing that corridor. Yes,
Madam Chair, would you mind formally reopening the public hearing by motion if you're going to invite the applicant back? up?
yes,
Thank you.
I will ask for a motion to
So moved.
open up the public hearing
Sorry.
for the applicant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Very good. Sir?
Points, Commissioner Floor said that putting a diamond in an old-looking shopping center. I'm here for the CUP reasons, which is the drive-through and opening past 10. Typically, Popeyes closes at 10 p.m. except on weekends. Assuming if I was agreeing to close at 10 p.m. and not have a drive-through, would it still not be a diamond in that shopping center overlooking the massage parlor? It's still going to happen no matter what we put there, but we want the best thing to happen. Secondly, I hear a lot of this fast food. Coffee is not fast food. Chipotle is called fast casual, but because of this fast food slot, God forbid we never have a COVID again. In those 3 years, I've sat at my stores with masks, putting signs on my yard, emergency workers, 50% off. You don't have to go in line. We will bring your food. You put that sit-down restaurant that all closed. Half of them went out of business. We survived and we kept the jobs going and we fed everybody. The whole country was fed on fast food, not restaurants, not hotels. And suddenly we are over this thing and fast foods, there's no such thing as fast food. My chicken is expensive chicken. It's not fast food. I don't know what classifies fast food as fast food. It's a difference between whether you want to go to a restaurant and be served or whether you want, and there's a midway between, now it's called fast casual visit Chipotle, which is where you get to see it being done, or Panda Express type. So that mindset needs to change about fast food when people are going to invest $4 million on that corner to put that diamond. I earlier mentioned that diamond may attract other gold into that center. When that massage parlor comes up for lease, that gentleman owner is going to say, I don't want a massage parlor. You see that Popeyes? I want something good in here. And he will get it. I own real estate. I deal with Starbucks all the time. I own 12 Starbucks real estates. And that's what I've seen. What is happening is that we put our mindset that it's fast food. We don't build buildings like fast food like they were built 20 years ago. If you Google, if you have access right now, check out a Burger King that we revitalized at Stony Point Road, Stony Point in Santa Rosa. The city came out, the mayor came out and said, thank you. It's unbelievable. It beats all your sit-down restaurants. Stony Point Road, Santa Rosa, I spent $3 million on something that was burnt, shuttered, and I said, I'll go in there and I'll do it. And people are just coming out and eating there because they feel the place is beautiful. Sometimes you do it because of that. And somebody could put couple of vans out there and start selling it, it'll go in the wrong direction. Somebody will go without a license or without a permit or get a permit and put some vans out there. I do these things without drive-throughs too, and they are as busier. I'm doing one in Pinole. And I tell you, when I do it without drive-through, this city is residents are going to call me and say, we need a drive-through on that thing. Wingstop operates without drive-throughs. You all eat Wingstop, order at Wingstop maybe? They don't have drive-throughs. Try them. If you go there and stand there, you'll find 20 people standing there like a doctor's office because there's no way for the traffic to move fast. It has that little counter, and that's it. And what we are experimenting that in Pinole where we can't get drive-throughs, and we know it's going to be overwhelmed. People are going to jam out there because the drive-through is the easy way out. That's where the Uber Eats guys all the other guys. There's so many pizza places, they don't have drive-throughs, but what happens is they get jammed. So we have to get out of this box. And that diamond, it's better to put that diamond there, as Commissioner Johnson said, now, so that it attracts synergy, catalyst to bring other good stuff. Who knows, when I pay rent, by the way, I'm not buying this property. When this landlord gets a rent check for me, he may think about it and say, you know what, I need to fix the rest of my center. But if we don't give him that income, and after investing 1.5 years and a lot of money into this, I walk away, he's going to say, okay, let the center be what it is. He walked out with me and Miguel and Mr. Contreras and the trash people and agreed to everything to fix at the back of the center, which has nothing to do with the Popeyes. And believe me, we go from here, and those cans are going to be floating around just as they have been for years now. He agreed to multiple things to streamline the back of the center. I'm going to push him to make sure that he stripes the rest of the parking lot as well, because it's bad for me. Now, when you put a Dollar General, we know that the traffic is not the Nob Hills traffic that is going to come there. That is my traffic. If I go into a Nob Hill Foods, high-end food parking lot, that's not me. That customer is my customer. Nobody's ever seen that Dollar General customer is also my customer. He may not even come through my drive-through. And my customer may say, you know, I'm going there. I might as well pick up food from Dollar General as well. All those places that you see, the massage parlors and the laundromat, things change when somebody starts somewhere. But if we are not going to start, 2014, this thing started, and this is the first project come in, and we kick it out. I deal with land as well, Chairperson. Believe me, it's not the same. So that's a lot of money we are putting where our mouth is, and we know, and we work with the community. We work with the kids, the soccer moms, everybody, scholarships, foundation. I have a foundation event in Napa on 17th of May. You're all welcome to attend for Burger King. And I'm pitching the whole bill and writing the big check. And I will send the entire council an invite. And you don't have to subscribe. Come and see what we do.
I appreciate that.
Millions in scholarships come up from there. And I'm holding it. I hold it because I'm the best of the best. I was chosen as Burger King North America Global Franchisee of the Year. By the way, Burger King and Popeyes are the same company. And Tim Hortons Coffee, which when they come here, people are going to say they really want it. We are not here as yet, but it's Canadian. So we are the best of the best operators, and that's why we are having this fundraiser where the top people will come so that we can raise money for the scholarships, for everything. We work with the cities, we work with everybody, schools, colleges, everybody in the area. So we bring a lot to the plate. Just because we have fast food, that box, we don't have to check it off.
Okay. Well,
Thank you very, very much
I
for giving me
appreciate
the
that. I do. I appreciate that. Just so you know, there are quite a few Popeyes nationally that do not have drive-throughs. I'm thinking of one that I particularly care about in Harlem. But there are quite a few throughout America that do not have drive-throughs that do very well. And so that is part of the CUP. And it's still a discussion that I'm not quite sold on having another drive-through on Brentwood Boulevard, but I'm open for more discussion about this and see where it goes. Commissioner Floyd?
I'm sorry, real quick again. Since you heard from the applicant a second
Let
time,
me
could you
close it. Yes, I
close the public hearing?
apologize.
Thank you.
So I'm looking for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Commissioner Floyd?
Well, trying to figure out a way out of this. The problem that we have is that we don't have the landlord here who could commit to taking some of this income and revitalizing. You know, I don't see that we have a way to ask for this application to come back, including a restriped parking lot, you know, and maybe some water on the trees so they're not sitting there dying on the edge of Brentwood Boulevard. I want to believe that the landowner there would make those improvements, but there's, you know, we don't do things on faith. We do things, we have an application, we have conditions, and then we have enforcement if we need it. And I don't see how we can have an application come forward that would incorporate this Popeyes, but also show us at least some upgrading of the shopping center itself, even if it was just, you know, a little extra blacktop and some striping and, you know, a landscaping plan. I would really love to see something like that, but I just don't know if that's doable. Is that something that could be done, or is it?
I would certainly defer the question to the city attorney. I would chime in with saying that as of now, or as the application is proposed, it is one lot. So I don't know if there would be a nexus to be able to have additional requirements outside of the proposed project. But I once more defer to the attorney.
Thanks, Miguel. Yeah, we're looking at just improvement of one portion of this site, and so requiring major off-site improvements or even on-site improvements not related to redevelopment of this location of the site. We, you know, wouldn't, as Miguel noted, have the right nexus requirements in order to make that part of this application.
I mean, Chair Roberts, you brought up a few interesting ideas as far as the way that this project may proceed. I don't know how, typically, you know, staff brings us the report and it says, this is how the applicant and the city have worked together to sort of comprise a solution to enable a business to proceed with, at the commission's discretion, or if it's a by right kind of situation. I don't see a path to closure right this second as far as how an alternative may be available unless we kind of ask for further work between the applicant and the city to sort of find a way to suffice the concerns that we've expressed today within the, well, I guess I think it's called the limit of work within that region of the APN. So, you know, I'd love to discuss that further if the commission.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to discuss it also.
Okay.
And I guess this would be for the planning department, and if that is something that we could consider having the applicant sit a little longer with your department and work through some of our concerns. One of them is another drive-through on Brentwood Boulevard. Just to see if there is an opportunity to move this project forward without a drive-through. Now, that would be my ask. I don't know what the other commissioners might have, but that's my ask.
Sure, and I would really be interested in hearing whether or not the landlord, who probably stands to make a pretty good income here off of this Popeyes as well, would be interested in submitting his own plan for a renovation of the parking lot and the landscaping, and just put it up beside this one so we could consider them at the same time.
Commissioner Brand?
I think Commissioner Johnson's been kind of left out of this discussion. I know you have a couple.
I'm the stepchild, you know, I'm off by my side.
Your
you know.
opinion is very valuable. I don't want to make. I want to make sure it doesn't go unheard. But
we're coming to you.
right, so if logic dictates that if this product, this particular business was opted not to do a drive-through, that would essentially be a by right, and it would not even have to come before this. So clearly, what that tells me is that the drive-through is critical to the profit margin, or essentially to the business model. So I kind of extend that to you to tell
To
share
hear what I
your
gotta
thoughts.
say. So I was listening to the chair. Having grown up in New York City as myself, there are a lot of McDonald's, Popeyes, all sorts of quote unquote restaurants without a drive-through. So, and I think I heard the lessee say that he could build it without a drive-through. So then the question is, do I want to have, you know, the Wingstop type of thing where people just park in a parking lot? Do we want to have that there at the corner? Or is that a better option, not for the lessee, but for Brentwood? Meaning, do we want people parking in the parking lot, or do we want them to be able to drive through for Brentwood? I'm not talking about, because if the lessee's saying that he would do it without the drive-through, then it's a possibility that he does. And then what we would have is a different situation where if you ever go to a Wingstop where there's parking all over the place because people can't drive through. So then the question is, what's better for Brentwood in that deal there? The other question I have is for the attorney. When I heard some comments from Commissioner Floor about the landlord coming in, can we mandate or ask the landlord to come in to so to speak tie these two together, or is he stand on himself? And if the landlord were doing something, when I say that is very bad English, does the lessee stand on his own and the landlord stand on his or her own separately, or can we do something like that?
So there are two, approval decisions before you tonight. One is design review of the restaurant, and the other, as Eric noted, these are two decisions. One is design review, and one is the conditional use permit for the drive-through component and the hours. The applicant has and I'll let Eric speak to this as well if he wants, but the applicant has the owner's permission to be here and to file this application. And that is all that the city requires. Is some representative from the applicant team to be here. The city, if the city wants to request that the owner make an appearance, we can, give that feedback to the applicant, but there's, no requirement that the city can impose for the applicant to bring the owner back before the commission. We have the application and we have the owner's permission for that application to have been filed.
So we don't have any, I'm just trying to figure out if we have any leverage in terms of like landscaping or, I mean, I know that we could ask a lessee, sometimes they have, or an owner to, pave a whole piece of property or put a stoplight in or do something like that. But do we have leverage in this kind of situation?
Through the chair, I would say no. Staff has looked at this application from the beginning as improvements relegated to the limit of work as defined on the site plan. So while, yeah, ideally, it would be a perfect time to, quote, renovate the entire property or center, that's not something that we believe can be required as part of this particular application.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So my only comment would be what I would encourage the commission to think about is for the betterment of Brentwood right now, not the lessee, not how much money they're going to make or not. If the lessee decides that they could put a Popeyes restaurant without a drive-through, is that what we want? Meaning, if you've ever gone to like a Wingstop, like where your people are parked in the parking lot, or is it better for Brentwood to have the drive-through despite all of the issues we have with, particularly what Chair Roberts said, which is, I mean, you really struck a bone. You went deep on that one with me about why we have all the, I hate to use the word fast food restaurants. I'm not trying to.
Restaurants with drive-throughs.
Right, yeah, in that particular area, which is why we don't have, maybe a better quality of, in that particular area. So that's really, but anyway, that would be my comments on that issue.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Well, I'm not quite sure how we're going to move forward on this. I think that we've exhausted some of the ins and outs. We've gone back and forth on this for a little bit. You know my ask. I do not want to see another drive-through on Brentwood Boulevard, but that's just my ask. The commission is free to speak its truth. I can go ahead and make a recommendation at this time for a motion, and we will go from there.
Can we separate the two? Because
Yes.
there's like the design review
Yes.
part,
Yes, there is.
and then there's the CUP part.
Yes, there is.
There's no design without the cup.
Yeah, you have to have that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's two parts, but there's one decision to make.
Yeah.
Okay?
So can I just add a couple things through the chair real quick before
Yes,
you
please.
get into possible motions? So one is, and I this probably goes without saying, but I'm going to do it anyways. Staff had obviously set this up and drafted everything for the commission to approve, right? So it doesn't sound like that's the way it's going, which is totally fine. It's at the commission's discretion. The other thing is it's obviously not set up to deny either application. And while there's been a lot of talk about, what the concerns are specific to the drive-through, the commission would need to sort of expand upon those and provide findings if indeed the ultimate decision is to deny the use permit, which would preclude the drive-through. The other thing the commission could do is make a motion to continue the item, with some specific direction to staff and the applicant to rework the project in a certain way, and then we would bring it back. So those are the kind of options I see in front of the commission, unless Miguel or Christy have any other thoughts.
I would agree with the planning manager regarding the options. See if the applicant might be amicable to taking this back and maybe reworking or removing the drive-through component, creating a plan that has a more robust open space area. But it's going to be dependent on your direction to staff.
I like that.
I do like that.
Also, just FYI, if we were to go that route and bring it back with that option. I'd also like, when it's brought back, to see the traffic report that we had. It was stated, but we don't have any documentation in support of the analysis. So I'm going to put that out there as something that can come back with the traffic analysis detailed. That would be my ask.
May, may I, Madam Chair?
Yes, you may.
I would personally like to see it without a drive-through, but a more open space, maybe, for lack of a better word, more park-like conditions, or maybe a few tables, some trees that would beautify the area. If the applicant was willing to do that sort of thing, I personally think would be a different feel, especially with that building that they have there, would be a different feel than what we have currently in the area. That would be something.
Commissioner Brand.
Question for Eric, I think. We're in a bit of a conundrum because, at least from my observation, if we ask the applicant to provide some type of details as described by Commissioner Johnson and Chair Roberts, it would not need to return to this body. Is that?
It would.
It would.
Yeah, the design review is.
Oh, the design. Yes,
Yep.
excuse me. Okay, that's
Yep.
right. Okay.
So that helps the conundrum at least a
It
little
would
bit.
have to come back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Commissioner Floyd.
I have a question for legal. I just want to clarify, are we required to make a motion tonight on this issue?
We would need a motion with, if this is the will of the commission tonight, to provide direction to the applicant to return with a redesigned project that does not include a drive-through. I would want that motion on the record, but we don't need a motion for denial of the drive-through at this time, no.
I mean, we can just let the item die, can we not?
Wasn't that
You-
denial?
Staff would either need direction to bring back denial of the conditional use permit and this design, or you could direct the applicant, you could continue the item and say, direct the applicant to kind of work with staff to, go for a redesign. But we would want you to take some action this evening.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, I think that we've exhausted as much as we can. I'm going to look for a motion now. I personally believe that we could, in fact, bring this back, having the applicant, and this is just me speaking now, rethink or reconfigure this design without a drive-through. And I really like the idea of beautifying the outside part of the restaurant with umbrellas and a real nice community outside
seating.
area. So I'll entertain a motion from one of you commissioners on if that is the direction that the commission would like to go on bringing this item back.
Maybe we can get the support of legal to sort of draft a, amendment to at least the resolution, the red line resolution?
I think what we would want the motion to say is that the commission desires to continue this item, and I'll check with Eric on whether we want to do a date certain, but to continue this item with direction to staff to work with the applicant to redesign the project per the chair's comments and specifically without a drive-through component, and to bring back the item for design review consideration at a date certain or a date uncertain.
Just given the complexities on this one, I would say we'll go ahead and renotice it. That's pretty easy for us to do. I did want to point out, and we will certainly work with the applicant not necessarily tonight, but probably sometime starting tomorrow, to figure out what happens. But just keep in mind, it's quite possible that, because, they've been out in the audience, they've been hearing all the discussion, they may say, certainly understand the commission's concerns, but we want to forge ahead with the project as proposed, which includes the drive-through. So it may come back when it does, looking exactly the same way, which then the commission is going to be forced to make a decision on
CUP.
how to address both the use permit and the design review.
That's fine. And we're completely okay with that. Giving it another opportunity for you to take a look at it with the applicant is what we would like to ask. Indeed, if it comes back as it is presented tonight, then the commission can in fact deny it or approve it altogether. So at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Well, we could do that, or you could give express direction that you would deny the conditional use permit and tell us to either bring back a revised application with no drive-through. And because you can make findings to deny the conditional use permit, and I would like some additional discussion if that's the way we're gonna go. Or we can, and that would be part of we want to continue this and we want you to work with the applicant to redesign. Or you can allow the applicant to potentially redesign with the drive-through component and bring it back to you that way.
Okay, and that first part was to actually deny the CUP as is tonight.
No, we wouldn't deny the CUP. We would continue the item and we'll bring it back for you either with design review only, because the applicant has eliminated the drive-through component, either at your direction or on their own volition. If you want it to be at your direction, I would need you to make some findings in the record, or, indicate that you can't make certain of those conditional use permit findings that are required.
Okay, very good. That makes sense.
And sorry to jump in, but for staff clarification, the conditional use permit is for 2 items, drive-through and hours of operation. For the hours of operation portion of the conditional use permit, we don't have, there's no issues or any concerns that you would like to address right now or with your direction?
No, I think it's advisable to leave them there, and that brings the CUP back regardless.
Agreed. So this time? Yes, please.
As the newbie on the block, I don't know that I'll get this exactly right, but I would like to have a continuance to bring back this Popeyes restaurant without a drive-through, adding outside dining is the best way I can explain it. Outside dining, maybe with some additional landscaping. And if the applicant is willing to do that, I think we should bring that back to the commission.
Do I have a second? Oh,
I just want to clarify that your motion, then since you're indicating that you do not want a drive-through in that design review, that you're indicating to direct staff to, that no findings could be made for issuance of that use permit. You can't make the use permit findings, and instead you're directing that's why you're directing the redesign.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay.
I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
Should we do a roll call on this?
I don't think you need to.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, so we will ask the applicant to work with the planning department, and we will see the applicant and make our final decision at such time. We'll move on to now to our informational reports. Transplant?
Yeah, last Thursday's meeting was quite good. We got a really nice look into the specifics of the BART improvements, particularly on the yellow line corridor, extends from the Antioch all the way to SFO. The addition of the more robust turnstiles at the Antioch station in particular, that's coming this fall, as well as I believe they said that they doubled their number of BART officers on that line in particular. So they're really making a profound effort to improve the quality of travel through that corridor. So
Nice,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. Well, it's finally coming to fruition, that's wonderful. There was no report for land use and development. Design review.
There was no meeting between our last meeting and this meeting.
Okay, very good. Okay, and now I'm going to move on to requests for future agenda items. Commissioner Johnson?
So I just want to just ask to follow up on the signage, to see if we can follow up on the signage that I've mentioned about when we're putting public notice out for people to respond, when it's past the time for the response. And I know I want to thank Eric, excuse me, I want to thank the planning
Eric
manager.
is good.
Excuse my.
I have trouble with it too sometimes, so that's fine.
Oh, boy.
I just want to make sure I do this thing correctly. I want to thank you for getting back to me, but I would like to make sure we address it at some point in the future.
Commissioner Floyd?
I have none.
Commissioner Brand?
nothing at this time.
Okay, and the only thing that I would ask, and we talked about this at our last meeting, are these conditional use permits. We talked about it briefly and wanting to know exactly how people are doing with these conditions. I'd mentioned, I don't think you were here, Eric, or maybe you were. We lay out these conditional use permits with the notion that there's a condition to that they're committing to. And it's my understanding that some of that is happening, some of it is not happening. And I think you mentioned, or someone might have mentioned, that it would be a laborious task to try to go back and see just who is compliant and who isn't. Nonetheless, I would just like to get a little, an understanding or sample of just how we're doing, because it reflects on this commission. Why do conditional use permits if we're not following up is the reason why I'm asking about that. So just putting it out there, if it's something that we can attend to in the near future, that would be great.
Okay, so in response to Commissioner Johnson and Chairperson Roberts, we can put both of those item requests on the next agenda for a more open discussion. Can't really do that tonight because it's not on the agenda, but look for both of those next time.
Fantastic. Okay, well, great meeting. With that said, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and our next meeting will be held here in council chambers, I believe, on May 7th at 7 p.m. Thank you again. Have a good evening.